Good night. So we have to do it tonight. Yes, yes. God is good. What a whole heap of problem. What a mess. I'm going to place it in my corner here.
The People's National Party difference. Now, we canvassed the group to say what would be important to talk to the people of St. James about today. So many issues. After all, we are the second city in Jamaica. So some issues came up. Tourism. We talked about tourism and how we want to make tourism work
Good
for the
night,
people of
Chelsea
Jamaica. We also talk about
and
labor,
Junior Francis.
because mixed in with tourism and how we power St. James is how our workers are treated, what policies are there for them, and how they will fare in a world of increasing hardships. We also spoke about citizen security, because for us in the People's National Party, citizen security is not about statistics, who died yesterday, who may die tomorrow, but how together we will create principles, priorities that will put you and your safety in mind. We also spoke about so many other issues, but we could not bring the entire shadow cabinet here. So while Wavell, Janice, and Peter are here, our esteemed, our brilliant, did I say brilliant already? Our brilliant, I said it already, our brilliant party leader, the legal luminary, Mark Golden, will take us through the rest. Ladies and gentlemen, we have something in store for you this evening. I want you to sit back, don't relax too much, because it's going to be hard talk this evening. To kick us off, we will have Mr. Alan Bernard. He is a deputy shadow minister with responsibility for social transformation and social protection. The MP candidate for Northwest St. James. He's going to bring you greetings.
Thank you very much, Nikisha. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the great constituency of Northwest St. James. I feel honored to be welcoming you, and I'll also take the opportunity to introduce to you the team from Northwest St. James, as well as to introduce the candidates for the parish of St. James. I want to acknowledge the divisional leaders from the Paradise Division, Mr. Andrew Henry, from the Norwood Division, Mr. Floyd Hitchman, and Miss Tamara Buchanan from the Glendovan Division. I'm not seeing, there she is. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the team from Northwest St. James that intends to put this constituency back in the winning column for the People's National Party. St. James to develop community and bring about genuine transformation. I want to use this opportunity, Comrade Leader, to mention one such talent, Mrs. The past constituency and regional secretary would have mentored, nurtured, and would have grown to become one of my closest friends and allies, not only in our quest to develop community, but in my pursuit to become a representative for the People's National Party. Maki, as she was affectionately called, is no longer here with us, but her work continues. The mantra that captures Marlene's work, the mantra, the PNP, and the reason for me taking on this task is simple. It is you do the things because it's the right thing to do. This is what has led me to the People's National Party and to representational politics. We intend in Northwest St. James to do the things for the people of Northwest St. James, to do the things for the people of St. James, to do the things for the people of Jamaica, simply because it's the right thing to do. I want to welcome you, Party Leader. This is our second function for the day. I want to welcome you to Montego Bay, welcome you to Northwest St. James. Peter Bunting, my sister and friend Janice Allen, Wavell, welcome to Montego Bay, welcome to Northwest St. James. This is about you, it's about you hearing from us, listening to us, putting your questions to us, and go and make that choice. The time to be happy is now. The place to be happy is here. And the way to be happy is to help the People's National Party make.
Anyway, I want to speak about some things that happened today, but I just introduced you to the forum. But a whole heap of things are going on. We can always look back on the forum throughout the course of the time. But some serious things are going on now. Lawrence Rowe go report the PNP to Mocha. Hold on there. Let me find back there. Hi Lola, Juna Francis. Everybody gonna watch conference. That is the thing, you know, in PNP I keep not the PNP. People gonna watch it, you know. So, and you know, so every time I see a brother, I get upset. Look. Government senator dismissed PNP warning a financial compromise. Want to know hear this about Dwayne Simmet. Me notice nationwide not carry it. Oh, then just put out something little while. Hypocrite. Junior Francis, me greet you Lola. Hold on there. I'm not find back a clip, you know. Me play about this to make
Playing it
everybody.
by the real rules, the real ball, the real goal, and the referee with the real understanding of the game. It is to provide options for income generation for our young boys
Big
who cannot
turnout too, you
make
know.
it to play 11 aside, cannot make the reggae boys and play football for Jamaica in the World Cup, but they can make it to play futsal in the World Cup. And this is the transformational leadership that the PNP is bringing to Montego Bay.
Hi,
These things
Peter.
are outside of the scope of the member of parliament who is running. And it is outside of the scope of the Jamaica Labour Party because they cannot understand that no more than ever young
Hi,
people have
Betty.
recognized that different industries are being created every year. And different avenues are there for them to create wealth. All they need is the support. The suppressive politics that has plagued this city over the last 20, 30 years must be a thing of the past. Tonight, we have an esteemed panel.
Good night,
Comrade
Janet.
Wave Lines, real general. Comrade Peter Bunting, real general. Comrade Janice Allen, real general. And our leader, Comrade Mark Golden, who is going to usher in a new transformational, non-apologetic, non-nepotic, non-favor-granting government that is dedicated towards moving the grassroots of people forward and, more importantly, creating wealth for a nation of such remarkable people. This is the People's National Party. This
Yes,
is change. Time come.
my party. Good night, Janet.
That was Dr. Andre Horton, the next Member of Parliament for West Central St. James. I'm going to tell you about a man I met a couple of years ago. Was so impressed by him that today I follow him. His grandfather is from my constituency in Cambridge, right up there, so. He's quiet. He's so unassuming. He's not the loudest in the room. He's not gonna wear clocks and tell you, say, him belly full already. Because even though he has come from much, he and his family, they've given much more to this country, Jamaica. I'm gonna tell you about a quiet leader who leads with compassion.
Yeah, man, girl, full of
I'm going to
style,
tell you
man.
about a dedicated man whose brilliance transformed the legislative framework of Jamaica in the past. It has gone to sleep now. It will arise once more when this man, who is husband to Sandra,
Good night, Naughty.
beautiful princess,
Barbara, good
will
night.
take office. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce to you the next Prime Minister of Jamaica, Mark Jefferson Golding.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Madam Master of Ceremonies and next Member of Parliament for South St. James, Comrade Nikisha Burchell. And greetings to our panel, my comrades and colleagues, our candidates here in the room. We have Dr. Andre Horton. We have from Hanover, Comrade Andre Perkis, Comrade Heather Miller, Alan Bernard, Rochelle Reed Nutt, and of course Janice, who you'll be hearing more from in a while. This town hall, as has been said, is the third in a series that we've been having, really to give an opportunity to interact with residents, community members, the people, in a way that we can go into a bit more depth in some of our areas, and to hear, importantly, to hear from you on the issues of the day and how you feel about things, to make your suggestions and comments so that we can have the benefit of your wisdom and understanding and experience informing our policies and programs as we proceed to form the next government here in Jamaica. Now, at the center of the next PNP government must be a very strong ethical framework. Oh. Yeah. The values, the morals, the attitudes which make us a productive, caring, and peaceful nation are essential to nurture and promote, to take Jamaica forward, to reach the heights that we ought to be striving for and that we are capable of, but which seem to be eluding us as we find ourselves enmeshed in a quagmire of corruption, cronyism, bad governance, and other dispiriting things that we hear about almost every day. As you know, right now, we're faced with a situation where the Prime Minister of the country is under pressure because his financial affairs cannot be
I'm tired,
certified
yes?
by the Integrity Commission of the country,
I'm
the
tired.
anti-corruption agency of
I
the
do too
country,
much.
as being above board and in order from 2021 going forward, because he has assets which his lawful income can't support, and that is what illicit enrichment, which is an offense, a serious offense under the Corruption Prevention Act, that is what illicit enrichment means. And he has been investigated for this. And at the end of a long and detailed investigation, the Integrity Commission said, well, we aren't able to come to a final conclusion on the matter because we weren't provided some of the information by Mr. Holness that we'd asked. And there's sufficient there to warrant further investigation to get to the facts. Things like $7 million of cash deposits, raw cash being deposited to his account from anonymous sources, 28 bank accounts that he controls, either in his name or his company's names, over $470 million of flows moving across his bank accounts in thousands of transactions, and of course,
Good night, Lassam.
the filing of nil returns by those same companies, suggesting that they're dormant or weren't active, had no income when all these flows have been passing through the accounts. And then the Positive Jamaica Foundation, an NGO, a non-profit organization that was set up to solicit and receive funding from here and abroad to be spent on worthy causes, those resources being used to buy financial investments in his personal company's name. All of these things really suggest something is very much amiss, and that the Financial Investigations Division must look into it much more carefully and deeply. And what have we heard now? Well, we've heard that somebody who has come on public radio, looked at the report of the Integrity Commission and said, oh, despite all the things I've mentioned, there's nothing there, there's nothing wrong with any of that. That is the person who they want to put and have put to be the head, the chief technical director of the Financial Investigations Division that is charged with completing the investigation of the Prime Minister. Someone who is closely associated with, and somebody who, although an accountant, has no law enforcement experience, no particular qualifications in the area of fighting financial crimes, money laundering, terrorism financing, which are the core requirements to run the FID. The FID is an investigative law enforcement agency, and it's a very important one because it is the authority that international law enforcement, anti-corruption and anti-financial crime agencies interact with Jamaica. There's a group called the Egmont Group that is all of the countries that have achieved certain standards and want to be part of an international alliance to fight against these things. Jamaica's agency that interfaces with those countries is the FID. So this is a totally untenable situation, and I'm very happy that various non-government and non-political organizations have come forward and said this is untenable, this doesn't look right, it should not stand. And I'm very disappointed that there are some leaders in the private sector who seem to think there's nothing wrong with what has taken place. I suggest that they reconsider the matter and look at the facts, because it is absolutely clear and blatant that this appointment is totally inappropriate, untenable, and should not stand. So we have taken a resolute position against this. We had a very successful, peaceful demonstration on Monday morning at National Heroes Circle to register publicly our absolute
The internet never give me no trouble tonight. I don't know what happened with like the internet. Tell me if you not hear me. Can't bother with this internet thing sometime.
and taken certain decisions, but they're obviously determined to
Oh, and on my side I have problem then. Alright, I'm going on my own program, you know. When I hear that story say Lawrence Rowe go report the PNP to Mocha. If I not hear the story, type in with me here. Alright, so Lawrence Rowe is just a little bitter. I don't know if we describe him. I don't know if we really describe Lawrence Rowe. I just don't know if we describe him. Because then lock him up in bitterness, get a phone, go get mocha, and all kind of stuff. But you know what me I say? Me hear, you know what me I think, people? Him say one say him did get money, you know. So if there's any truth to all what I'm saying, you know, then if you lock up Lawrence Rowe, you know, Lawrence Rowe must get locked up. Lawrence Rowe must get locked up. Lawrence Rowe call upon one of them and ask how hunger that him get. So if what him a say true, him was a confederate and conspire to fraud and should be also investigated. Him did do it already. Him not ain't go yet, man. Him not ain't carry mocha already. He do it already and never successful. So them try again and I hope him get locked up for it. Oh, let me see if I understand what last time I said. Are you saying he do it already and never successful? So them try again and hope. So them a try to see if they can get Andrew Swaby if you get locked up. Then can lock up Andrew Swaby without. If you go make a report for me now, what more have to do I come in and come investigate it and them have to find which part the money missing. Oh, they run him on KSMSC already. But Nationwide say Nationwide said then taking phone and Nationwide have all of the details. On the Nationwide station alone, me say I bring it. Me play a little clip of it for me. Because me did watch it today. And me put up some video about it. So me gonna hear it Cliff use him officer.
Six reasons why your health is failing, and you don't even know it. I'm honestly amazed
You know gonna
at
know
how
we pilot.
incredible this national
Whistleblower are
agency is.
encouraging law
Only a few
enforcement. They
weeks
are
in, and
protected.
I'm already obsessed.
You might not know
Here's why
whistleblower.
this handbook is an
See, on his watch, the denial came after a conversation leaked of Lawrence Rowe asking PNP General Secretary Dr. Dayton Campbell not going away.
The legacy of Jamaica.
Overreaching, hyperbolic, catastrophe. Come on. Mm-mm. We're not there. One final one now before I shut up. Lawrence Rowe, the former constituency caretaker of the opposition in central Kingston, is simply not going away. It's not going away. Nationwide now has information that Mr. Rowe has now given a formal statement to the major organized crime and anti-corruption agency, MOCA. In that statement, we gather he has formally accused the PNP-controlled Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation of operating a scheme in which public funds are used to finance the campaign activities of PNP politicians in the corporate area. You'll recall, this has been the allegation made earlier this year by Mr. Rowe. But now he has gone in, sat down with the officers of MOCA and lodged a formal statement putting details, naming names, yeah, as to those who participated in this scheme. So it means
Exactly, Lassa.
that the story has taken on another turn because MOCA is now obliged to investigate because they now have a formal complaint with details on the record signed to by Rowe. Therefore, they will now have to investigate and decide if there is merit to what Rowe is alleging. And thereafter, we will see what's the next steps. Yeah? Here's George Davis's report on that.
The statement given by Lawrence Rowe to MOCA makes for stunning reading. It name drops at least 7 PNP officials and representatives, and with extensive detail, accusing them of being involved in a ruse to defraud the KSAMC. Rowe told MOCA that monies have been issued by the KSAMC to several candidates, including in one key marginal seat in the corporate area. He detailed instances of being contacted by an official from the KSAMC and offered money from the corporation to fund political work. Rowe told MOCA that the PNP member and the staffer at the KSAMC who issued the money to PNP political representatives overtly made a request for the transaction to be kept secret. The former PNP candidate told police investigators, quote, "I believe that the monies were from the KSAMC and it was to be a secret." End quote. He says the instruction from the PNP member who works at the KSAMC was that the funds should be used for political activity or anything the PNP caretakers so desire. Rowe also accused the PNP member and official at the KSAMC of funding the activities of at least 4 dons in the corporate area. However, he told Mocha that while the monies to fund some PNP caretakers came from the KSAMC, he's unsure about the source of the money given to the area leaders by the PNP official. In another eyebrow-raising development, Rowe name-dropped a PNP caretaker in a key battleground constituency, whom he says has been receiving hundreds of thousands of dollars from the KSAMC on a monthly basis. He says the funds were transferred to a PNP divisional chairman in the battleground seat, who would then encash it and hand it over to the PNP caretaker. Rowe suggested to Mocha in detail that at least one senior official in the PNP knew about the corruption scheme. Nationwide News understands that as part of the Mocha probe, the anti-corruption agency seized Lawrence Rowe's Samsung A53 phone and extracted evidence. A host of damning text messages, voice recordings, and images relating to the KSAMC and the PNP form part of the Mocha investigation. Earlier this year, Kingston's Mayor Andrew Swaby strongly denied any wrongdoing by the KSMC on his watch. The denial came after a conversation leaked of Lawrence Rowe asking PNP General Secretary Dr. Dayton Campbell why some PNP representatives received more resources from the KSAMC compared to others. Dr. Campbell said this was being done for strategic purposes ahead of the then anticipated calling of 2 divisional by-elections. The PNP General Secretary has since publicly strongly denied any involvement in or knowledge of any wrongdoing at the KSAMC. George Davis for Nationwide News.
86.
So now here where Lawrence were going to do now, after I get bail, can have court case now to, for assault. What Lawrence Rowe did is to bring up back the PNP issue. Gone a Mocha, gone tell Mocha, same thing that did already out there. I would have asked Mocha if them been sensible enough. They should even look at him. Because when he should have go to Mocha from when him come out with it, he got to Cliff Hughes. But as somebody I tell him, I set him up, Raymond, what you say? Him is a loose cannon right now. If he loose, something wrong with him brain. On the Nationwide News, Mr. Carey, I don't see nobody. I don't see the Gleaner have it in a headline. So I don't know if it's true. Anybody on the live know if it really goes so? Anybody know if it really go like that? Because you can't too believe Nationwide. Can't too believe Nationwide. Anybody from Central Kingston know if this is true? Type in the comment. Come on, no man, don't help me, no man. We are reason over here tonight. I am saying we want to know if it's true because Nationwide not always talk truth, so we don't know if it's true. I am asking the question, is it true? Anybody will know say it's true? I don't not hear me because I don't not type in a comment. Why Mac no no, you know some medicine Nationwide say not about the drill. I don't see him say not about the drill, But anyway, so then so one I labor right man, Dwayne Smith. Listen to this.
Mr. Smith and Mr. Zahn. But in the action that Mr. Zahn took against Mr. Smith has opposed it on the basis that he says he wasn't served originally with the claim. Mr. Zahn has refiled another claim, and we've discontinued the one that he says he wasn't served with. We've not decided not to have an argument in court about that. We just focus on what Mr. Zahn has come to court for, which is to recover monies loaned to Mr. Smith.
Can you see what we got here?
No, that's a matter between them and the court papers. But it's significant.
Let me be clear. And the lawsuit has been filed. You've discontinued
You discontinued the one he claims that he wasn't served. And we have now filed a new one, which we will serve him with again.
Okay. And the lawsuit is specifically for seeking to recover.
Seeking to recover monies that were loaned to Mr. Smith.
Over what period of time?
Some time ago, but he was making promises which he did not fulfill.
10 million. 10 million.
In excess of.
20.
In excess of.
50.
In excess of 20.
Okay. And it is a business arrangement.
It was not a business deal, it was a personal loan to assist Mr. Smith, according to the court papers.
And just for clarity again, before the lawsuit, there were attempts to recover
There were what appeared to have been bona fide attempts to settle his indebtedness, but it didn't come to anything because the indebtedness was not settled.
And from where you said Mr. Smith is disputing the
No,
sum zone.
he has never disputed the sum zone. He has disputed that he was served. That's what this is about. He has not disputed. He may, but nothing that has transpired between the parties, because there was another lawyer before, and nobody denied that these sums. This is documented.
And just finally from me, if you could just give me a timeline as to when we're talking about that this loan was made and over what period you'll be trying to recover.
No, that's in the court papers.
Okay, and the attorney for Mr. Smith is?
The attorney for Mr. Smith is Annalisa Law Chambers, Lindsay Law Chambers. Lindsay Law Chambers.
But if it is in the court paper, then you can, I'm sure you can share it with us, but that is a public application.
It is, but I'm not doing that.
Basic.
I'm saying that I'm not doing that in a newspaper media interview. As I said, it's really a private matter between the parties, but I got permission to speak to you.
All right. You, Mr. Roxanne. I don't know if you're a man or you're a woman or if you're he, she, or what me just say. Simit Sue is for private matter. It's not taxpayer money. Did I come here and say taxpayer money? What is it you're trying to say? So because I'm not taxpayer money and I'm a member of parliament, if you take people money and can't pay them and them have to carry my court down. Roxanne Wellington, answer the question. Because I'm not taxpayer money and in take people. You know where money we borrow for do? You know where money for? According to what I have learned, and I will use the word allegedly, I never know that the man was a big time gambler. People from the constituency, that's why the people are not too in him. So I don't know if you come over here if you can defend the man take people money and now and pay back. And because I'm a taxpayer money, you come here and talk about a private thing. You my drunkard too. When the person called me, when the person was telling me this afternoon, me have to say, what? Me say, all in daddy amount of debt in daddy pay for him. And a cash part, me here saying borrow that the money, me say, up, according to what I understand, a big gambling something, casino or something. Then, you can take them the kind of people that put them in a parliament and if you give them money for go use. And then I say, him are the same one have the contract for cook food for go give the hospital them. And the people then say food, them when they can come down here like a hog food. Here? Oh. We are at a crossroad. The country is in a predicament. We're at a crossroad and our country is in a predicament. So may I watch for see. By this should disqualify him from being a member of parliament. Me see Carinthia in a parliament today talk about let me show you where she up in there say. So I hope this apply to him. And in a business as who, whether PNP or GLP, come off on my channel, Clyde, or whatever your name. Because I don't know out of PNP and GLP, I wish one of them are more criminal. But you can see, take your hide them and see. Tell me where the PNP thief. Tell me where the PNP thief. Oh, wait. I can't even find it. Oh, I run something. May I look fine. I'm going to just run, come over here, Concord. Franklin, Jennifer, you are one of the biggest liar on social media. Don't block him. Don't block him, Nadi. Don't block him. I want him to type in a comment. Tell me lie when I tell. Franklin, tell me the lie that I told. Type it in a comment. And I will acknowledge it. Tell me which lie I tell. Don't block him. Leave him alone. I want him to talk. Because if you don't block him, he can't type. Make me argue with him. Make we see who tell lie and who not tell lie. Carol, you good night. We want him to tell me what kind of lie I tell Nadi. That's why I'm telling him block him. You can't tell me what thief. Our lie me tell. Me are the liar this one. That's what I'm saying. Listen what I'm saying. Jennifer, you are one of the biggest liar on social media. May I ask him what is the lie? I'm waiting for hear. And you're so foolish. You know, so me a liar and you still come on my channel. Good night, Conrad. That me over here listening liar. No man, are them tactics that we depend on everybody platform. And for company and can type, for distract the conversation. That's the whole thing about it. You hear? Run come up, and a taxpayer money. You want them when a 28 bank book, we now know where they come from. We can't declare. And the Prime Minister cannot be certified. Take him friend and put in there for cover up him dirty lies. So no bother come over here. No bother come over here. Wanna stay over on a place. Stay over on a place. And this one I forgot to talk about. When we see this today, Christopher Brown came out and was talking about it. And when you look, you see the little young girl foot up at St. Anna Bay Hospital. Can't get her surgery done. The young lady say all the pin them where she buy for going her foot. Then take a use for another patient and can't give her operation. At them they sit none of it talk about in our country. None say the health sector go down. You come over here and talk about me, I tell lie. With your out of self. We don't know what one have to defend. What are not defending? When you not come and talk for Andrew behalf, tell me what I defend. Tell me what you're not defending. Let me go back and look at the town hall meeting, yeah?
Ladies and gentlemen, the next Prime Minister, Mark Golding. It is my duty to recognize some very special guests with us this evening. Allow me to recognize Arthur Nelson and Mrs. Nelson, who are here with us this evening. The man who is organizing the troops for victory, my boss, the next Minister of Agriculture, General Secretary, Dr. Dayton Campbell. We have with us, ladies and gentlemen, some of the representatives who will be in Parliament next. You know the St. James ones already, but we have Andrea Perkis, Heather Miller, and Andrea Dehaney, Deputy Mayor of Hanover. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm not really biased, but my neighbor from over the corner, former Maroon Chief Murdy Rowe, is here with us this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to invite for you quickly someone who is gonna take the first bat of the ball, the first crack of the ball. You see what I did there? Yeah? He's no stranger to being the opener. Ladies and gentlemen, my predecessor, Derek Kelly. A round of applause. I was going to introduce Wavell, but the Laborites have been saying that we're calling for our senior parliamentarians who've retired to the pavilion to come out. But if we're proud of our people, what we go to hide them? We're proud of those who have served, and we're happy they still want to be a part of what we're into. Derek Kelly. Now I was saying about my batsman. Him have on him pad and a bat, and you have to duck every now and again because some six and some four and some leg by and so wide. You know me thing, don't? Him go ball. Our opener, Wavell Hines, Shadow Minister for Labour and Sports.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Comrade Burchell. I'm in your hometown. I see my General Secretary here, Dr. Comrade Dayton Campbell, and I see Shamil as well. It's nice to be in Region 6, and it's nice to be back doing some work. I want to recognize, before I go further, my former constituency of Eastern Hanover, who is now represented by my former road manager and treasurer, Comrade Andrea Perkis. And alongside her is the chairman and councillor for the Sandy Bay Division and the current deputy mayor of Lucy, Comrade Andrea Dehaney Grant. Comrades, I have the very hard task of trying to protect the sector that will look after all the sectors, or some of the sectors our comrade leader just spoke about. The labor force. With all the hospitals and the beaches and this futsal that my colleague spoke about earlier, we have a workforce that has to work within those spaces and they need to be protected. Good. So I'll say to you, it's great to be here with you today to discuss issues that impact us all. Issues that affect the very heart of our economy and society, our workers. The
Albert, good
National Party
evening.
has long been a champion of workers' rights. A tradition started by prime ministers like Michael Manley, P.J. Patterson, our beloved Portia Simpson Miller. Today, I want to reaffirm our commitment to continue that fight with a particular focus on the protection of workers' rights through enforcement of the international labor laws, International Labor Organization standards, and ensuring that workers is not left behind. I will be discussing issues that directly affect the everyday worker, precarious employment, the misuse of contract work, underfunded labor offices, and even the impact of foreign workers replacing Jamaican workers in certain sectors. Precarious employment and contract abuse. One of the most pressing issues we face as a country is the rampant misuse of contract work. It's an issue that cannot be ignored. In many industries, workers are hired on short-term contracts, often renewed repeatedly. These workers are doing the same job year after year, but because they are classified as temporary,
One love,
they are
Andre.
denied the benefits, security, and rights that permanent employers are entitled to.
Tell her good day for me, Lassa.
This creates a
Sick of them.
situation where workers are vulnerable to abuse and exploitation. It's unacceptable for workers to be subjected to unfair working conditions simply because of how their contracts are structured. We stand by the principle that work is not a commodity. Workers must be treated with dignity and provided with security in their employment. The PNP will introduce and pass legislation to regulate contract work in Jamaica. The law will limit the duration and scope of short-term contracts and ensure that repeated renewals trigger automatic reclassification to permanent status, thereby providing workers with job security and access to the benefits they deserve. Strengthening the Ministry of Labor and Social Security infrastructure. The work of the Ministry of Labor and Social Security is critical in addressing many of the challenges faced by Jamaican workers. However, the ministry's infrastructure, particularly in the West, right here in Montego Bay, requires urgent improvement. I want to commend the staff in the region, both in the office at Sam Sharp Square and at the Industrial Dispute Tribunal, IDT. They are doing an outstanding job with limited resources. But the truth is, they need more support. A PNP government will provide the necessary resources to improve the ministry's capacity, including increasing personnel assigned to these offices and expanding the staff at the IDT. We will also consider adding a second panel in the West to ensure cases are heard promptly and disputes are resolved in a more timely manner. The long waits for hearings are unacceptable, and they were not what was envisioned when the Labor Relations Industrial Disputes Act was passed 50 years ago. Ensuring Jamaican jobs are protected through work permits. Another pressing issue is the use of the work permits. There have been numerous complaints about foreign workers taking jobs that Jamaicans could and should be doing. We have heard the cries of our entertainers, ground transport operators, and other sectors that their livelihoods are being undermined by foreign workers brought in to fill positions that could have easily been filled by qualified Jamaican workers. A PNP government will enforce stricter regulations when issuing work permits. We will ensure that no work permit is granted unless it is first confirmed that no Jamaican is available to perform that task. We will put in place a rigorous mechanism
No work, no
to
do what
screen all
Jamaican
work
can
permit
do.
applications, ensuring that Jamaican workers are being replaced by foreign workers. Addressing the BPO sector. The business process outsourcing sector is one of Jamaica's fastest growing industries, employing tens of thousands of Jamaicans. However, workers in this sector continue to face precarious conditions, low wages, and a lack of job security. It's critical that we provide better protection for BPO workers, ensuring that they enjoy the same rights and benefits as workers in the other sectors. This includes ensuring that wages are fair, working conditions are safe, and that job security is guaranteed. The PNP will work to ensure that the BPO industry adopts ethical working practices that protect workers and provide a pathway to career development rather than a revolving door of short-term contracts.
Exactly.
establishing a joint industrial council in the tourism sector. A few months ago, we witnessed strikes and protests in the tourism sector where workers expressed their dissatisfaction with low wages and poor working conditions. These protests drew attention to the deep-rooted issues in the sector that must be addressed. While some progress was made, we cannot continue to rely on protests to bring about change. The tourism sector is vital to our economy, and we need a better system in place to ensure that workers are treated fairly and with dignity. A PNP government will work with all stakeholders, hotel owners, management, unions, and the workers themselves to improve industrial relations in the sector. We will establish a joint industrial council in the sector to foster better cooperation and resolve the issues that have plagued it for too long. The JIC will facilitate regular dialogue, ensuring that all voices are heard and that sustained solutions are found. It will also help establish fairer working conditions and improve benefits for tourism workers. We stand for decent work as promoted by the International Labour Organization, and we believe in the power of partnership between workers and employers to make this a reality. Empowering our employers to adopt ethical practices. On the employer side, we must ensure that hiring practices are ethical and transparent. Workers should reserve work contract for genuinely temporary or non-core functions, such as seasonal work, special projects, and not for permanent roles that are integral to the ongoing operations of a company. To support this, we propose that employers submit their organizational charts to the Ministry of Labor, detailing the roles that require contract work. This will help the ministry to ensure that work contracts is used correctly and not as a loophole to avoid offering permanent positions with benefits. We also encourage businesses to establish internal compliance mechanisms that conduct regular labor audits to ensure they are meeting legal and ethical standards. This proactive approach will help prevent exploitation and ensure fair and just workplace for all. Workers and trade unions. For our workers, it is essential that they remain vigilant in protecting their rights. Unions must play a key role in tracking and reporting abuse, and workers should be educated about their rights under the law and union agreements. We will also establish tripartite monitoring committees that include equal representation from government, employers, and unions. These committees will oversee and review the status of contract labor practices, violations, and enforcement, ensuring data-driven reforms are enacted. Furthermore, we will launch pilot programs in key industries like construction, hospitality, security, to test new enforcement tools such as digital contract registration and grievance portals. These programs will serve as modules for broader reforms across sectors. In closing, let me reiterate, the PNP stands committed to ensuring that every Jamaican worker receives dignity, respect, security, and the security they deserve. We will act swiftly to tackle the issue of contract abuse, improve the Ministry of Labor's infrastructure, protect Jamaican jobs from foreign competition, establish better industrial relations in key sectors like tourism and the BPO. The time for change is now. We need a government that stands with its workers. We need a government that puts people first. Together we will build a better, more equitable Jamaica for all. I thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you, thank you.
Love that. Love that.
Now, after those 6s and 4s, the only thing
Hi,
that
Peter.
could top that is a woman on a mission. Ladies and gentlemen, our Senator, Janice Allen, the next Minister of Tourism.
We just love my comrade
Good
them.
evening, comrades and colleagues here in St. James. Thank you very much, Nikisha, party leader, and others on the platform. Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, I have been invited here this evening in Allen's constituency to speak about tourism. And tourism, which is so vital to just about everybody in St. James, is obviously important to talk about. But before I go into tourism, I'm going to just give a little information about a special place called St. James Central. St. James Central is really the heart of the parish. It's literally the center of St. James. From Salt Spring to Portobello by way of Sam Sharp Square and the Market District. It is home to, I believe that I might be rivaling West Central when I say that we are home to the majority of the working population in the parish. Farm Heights, Cornwall Court, Cornwall Garden, Rosemount Garden. Did I say Farm Heights? Rose Heights, Portobello, a Green Pond. You see, when you start calling names, people get jealous. But the truth is that the majority of those who work, whether in tourism, in the civil service, in the BPO, they're owners of small businesses, transport providers. There are so many areas that are represented in these communities. And therefore, how we treat these communities is a reflection of how we treat our people. If we expect our people to be productive, and if we expect to have a labor force that Wevel spoke about, then we have to address the needs of these communities. And this is just a snapshot of all the communities, whether it is Rose Heights, where the PNP settled people in Rose Heights. We have to make sure that if it is not water, which is such a priority today, that it is access to affordable housing, which our leader spoke about. Or it is about, with the expansion of the town, that we are ensuring that we are expanding our waste management system and our sewer system. Development is all encompassing, and we cannot measure development simply by the number of hotel rooms built. We have to measure development by how our people's lives are changed. And so the next PNP government, and I should say the incoming PNP government,
Yes.
is serious about ensuring that we put the people first in everything that we do to ensure a better Jamaica for all our citizens. And so when I look at Montego Bay, which is supposed to be the tourism capital of Jamaica and by extension the region, there is much work that needs to be done. Montego Bay has close to about 10,000 hotel rooms of all types, villas, Airbnb, call it what you may, about 10,000. The industry in Montego Bay employs about 15,000 people directly. But then we also know that there are a lot of indirect employment, transportation, craft, entertainment, retail, food. And when tourism is not doing well, all of these sectors feel it. Just this week, I sat with a manufacturer who enjoyed business courtesy of the tourism industry. But because of the downturn in the industry, which many will try to say all is well. But the truth is, you know, you feel it. And just like that manufacturer who has had to transform or change his business model because the business that was being generated as a result of tourism has taken such a dramatic turn. We are for development. The People's National Party has proven over and over that we are for development. But it's what kind of development? So within the tourism industry, it was us, the PNP, we were the ones who expanded the industry by attracting foreign direct investments. And that is how we have seen the expansion of the all-inclusive model. But today, we now have a lopsided industry. We have a lopsided industry that has caused many other businesses to fail. Many of us Montegonians remember restaurants like Blue Dolphin Grill. They had one right here, so next door. They had Brigadoon down the road. We all remember Townhouse in the town. All of these have dried up and died because the EP, the European Plan model of hotels, have not developed as fast as or equivalent to the all-inclusive. So entertainment has failed or has declined. Eating establishments. I mean, Montego Bay, a tourism capital that goes to sleep by 9 o'clock at night. There's not much to do. And if we are building as a society, entertainment is crucial to that. Social lives is important. And that is how we are going to attract the young people when they get their education. If they don't have something exciting to come back to, they may not see Montego Bay as an option. So we have to invest in that model that will allow us to further expand the supporting services so that more Jamaicans can feel the tourism dollar. And therefore, it is our commitment that when we form government, we will incentivize the investment in EP hotels so that we can rebuild and revitalize the tourism towns across Jamaica. Within tourism, and again, the trailblazers that the PNP has always been, we formulated and instituted the Tourism Enhancement Fund. And as the name says, Tourism Enhancement Fund. The funds collected by this system are supposed to go right back into the very towns that generate the money. Today, we are not seeing the reinvestment in the towns.
Taking money by
It is
black
a shame
tank.
that you cannot, in any part of the city, find a public restroom. You cannot walk uninterrupted on any sidewalk in this town. And I know it happens in other tourism towns. So when you say that you are boasting millions and millions earned each year by tourism, we are not feeling it. And it is time we feel it. The time has come for us to, just like we are going to we're going to change and put back NHT to what it's supposed to be. We're going to put back Tourism Enhancement Fund to what it is supposed to be.
True,
When
man.
we form government,
Night, Sharon.
we will do it. You know, as I speak about development, tourism in general, I want to just make note of some real issues in our city, which I'm using this as an example because at the end of the day, this is where I will be representing as the Member of Parliament. So, the truth is, development is important. And there has been development around the center of the town. When we look inside the center of the town, it is decaying. And we have to revitalize our city. Because when our people feel like they live somewhere that is progressive, they won't want to leave. Productivity will increase. It sounds simplistic, but the truth is, we have to encourage investment, especially Jamaican investors in Jamaica. And therefore, for those Jamaicans who I see who have been investing their hard-earned dollar into Jamaica. I mean, the other day I walked on Church Street. I walk plenty, you know, part of it. I walk in the town plenty. When I am on Church Street the other day, I saw a gentleman doing some construction. He's a Jamaican who is connected to business and has business in the United States. And today he bought a building on Church Street that he's renovating. He's connected to Eastern Hanover. He's renovating in Montego Bay. And that is an expression of confidence our Jamaican people need to see in other Jamaicans investing in the town. There are too many derelict buildings in our city that ought to be. We must use encouragement for those who are the owners, because many of them are overseas and have left their buildings unattended, and that is leading to the downgrade of our city. We have to first encourage them, incentivize them to invest in it, or if needs be, we have to use legislation to acquire some of them because they are leading to the deterioration of the city. And we cannot just leave it like that. And so, whether it is the investment of the tourism dollar in the town or legislation that is going to support us, we must encourage the local development and investment in our town. I see it on Union Street. I see it on Market Street. I see it on Church Street, on East Street. Let us revitalize the city because the city is ours. It is ours and we must develop it for our people. My vision for this city is that places like Canterbury, King Street, Hart Street, Barracks Road can boast both residential and commercial development. My vision for this city is that my 77-year-old mother can walk the streets with ease. My vision for this city is that the children coming from Mobay, Infant and Barracks Road, walking home or getting to wherever, that not because the rain just fell 5 minutes ago that they must be hampered by flooding streets. My vision for this city is that we have a modern, fit-for-purpose tourist transport center so that if wherever you are going, you have a decent place to access public transportation. If you don't have a vision, you don't know where you're going, you don't know what to do when you get there. So that is my vision. With regard to tourism, I've already mentioned that we will ensure that TEF operates as it should. The truth is that there are challenges. Last year, when the travel advisory was issued by the United States, and I pointed it out in the Senate, people attempted to rubbish what I was saying that it would have had an impact. You are my witness. Unfortunately, the truth is that it has impacted our industry. I am pleased to see that it has been downgraded, and I hope it remains that way and continue to improve, because nobody here from the PNP is going to celebrate any downfall of any industry. We will point out where there are issues, but we are not going to celebrate when it's not going well. It's not in our interest to celebrate that. We are good-minded people.
I just say,
That's the new hot thing, good-minded people. I have heard Nikisha spoken about Flagstaff and the potential in South St. James for heritage tourism, heritage and cultural tourism, and Catadupa. I have heard Rochelle speak of agriculture in East Central St. James and the opportunities there are for partnerships with tourism. The next PNP administration will ensure that we invest in these areas of tourism, because when South does well, when East Central does well, when the people do well, you build thriving communities. We must build new attractions in tourism. That is what the Tourism Enhancement Fund is for, and we are committed to that. There's a particular area in the industry, a sector that has cried out, especially in recent times: the transport sector. When we attract investors, we must be strong enough to insist what you are investing in. Stay in your lane. Because it cannot be that you have carte blanche. If you're here to operate a hotel, you operate a hotel. It should not be that the businesses that can and should be operated and have operated for many years by Jamaicans, suddenly our Jamaican transport providers are being squeezed out of the industry. It can't work. It cannot work, and we have already committed to protecting those areas, because just like access to beaches, we are serious about access to business opportunities for our people in the tourism industry.
and the China
The
goods then for
incoming
come out of
PNP
hotel too.
government, I'm promising you, we will deliver on that. The party leader already spoke about healthcare, but I want to point out something. Healthcare within tourism, if we fix our healthcare system for our people, our tourists will benefit. I've always said, fix Jamaica for Jamaicans, and those who come will enjoy it. We won't have hand to count. Our healthcare system, particularly here in Montego Bay with Cornwall Regional Hospital, it has been said already, but I say it again. It's an atrocity. 8 years, and still there are so many issues that today people are dealing with, those who work there, those who go there for service. If anybody in here feels sick, I know the last place you think of going is Cornwall Regional, when it should be the first. Right now, I heard on the news the talk about an air condition malfunction that is impacting on the delivery of clinical service, clinic. And this is something, according to those who are in charge, have spoken about, who have said that they know it happens every year around this time. Well, if it happens every year around this time, what you're doing about it? It has now impacted service delivery. There is an X-ray machine. The X-ray machine went down about a year and change ago. This is when everybody needs it. Cancer patients need it for CAT scans. Everybody needs it. People have had to be going private, paying upwards of $60,000, $80,000 for something that they should not be paying for. And it came back, they bought a new one, After 1 year, it was finally in commission and it went back down again. We have maintenance and servicing of our health service, our health sector is crucial to taking care of our people. If we don't take care of our people, how we must ask our people to be productive? In fact, everything that we do must be geared towards building our productivity. And I'm wrapping up, Party Leader. I see you're watching the time because you have to go back to Kingston. We have to ensure that we, you know, this Party Leader of mine, if you, let us take care of our people, right? I will close by just saying this.
The man tired, man. The man tired, and I forgot to go back at town. The man tired.
We are about to face a very serious decision about the way forward for our beloved country. Now is not the time to sit back and say, make them go on.
Good night, Douglas.
The time is now for leadership that you can depend on. The time is now for integrity because it matters. The time is now to put the people at the center of every decision that we make. The time is now for the People's National Party to be the next government of this country. The time is now for me to serve you as a Barnaby. As a Barnaby, to serve you in the city of my birth. I look forward to being your member of parliament. Thank you.
Wonderful.
She said, Shabana under the clock. Shabana B, you have to give us Senator Johnny Salin. Man, this girl is on fire. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if between our General Secretary or the next speaker who take the most lick for this politics. But them back broad. Yes, they speak truth to power. This man no afraid of no boy, no girl, no day, nowhere. Because he comes with his receipts. Ladies and gentlemen, Senator Peter Bunting.
Thank you, fellow panelists, distinguished guests, comrades and friends. Good evening. You know, as someone who recognizes that all politics is local, I didn't mind giving up half of my time to Janice so she could speak to our people. And to continue Nikisha's cricketing analogy, there are sufficient runs on the board that we could declare right now. But since I'm not the captain of the team, I've been sent in to give our tail enders innings. But just very quickly, I've been asked to speak on the issue of national security, and I just want to do two things. The first, I want to review the Andrew Holness regime's track record in national security. And then secondly, I want to speak to how we would do things differently. So first, this GLP government is suddenly claiming that one of their successes is the reduction in murders for the last few months. Now, we're all very happy and welcome these reduction in murders. But it has absolutely nothing to do with the GLP regime. It is in spite of the GLP regime. And let me just do a quick review of what happened when the government changed in 2016 and these people came to office, the first thing they did was introduce a most idiotic policy. They suddenly decided that police didn't deserve new cars, new vehicles anymore. And they were the only government in the entire world that decided they were going to purchase junk vehicles for the police. Well, when they stated it, we predicted it would be a fiasco. And it turned out to be even worse than we had imagined. And cut a long story short, up to today, the used vehicles haven't been delivered
I
and cannot
know.
be found.
I know.
Although all have been paid for. And the few that did arrive,
That
some of
need
them
for
could barely
investigate
make it
too.
off the wall before they
Corruption.
broke down. I remember it was embarrassing to see some of the police officers trying to be professionals driving around these old wrecks. So what happened? Vehicles are a force multiplier for the police. And by year 2, there were so few operational vehicles in the police force that the murder rate skyrocketed. It continued for the next 8 years. It was so bad that Andrew Holness now has the record of being the prime minister who's in his 2 terms, more Jamaicans have been murdered than under any other 2 terms under any other prime minister. For many years, they persisted with this policy, this failed policy of state of emergency, which all it was doing was violating the rights of the people. When they scraped up almost 2,000 young Muslim men in St. James, what was the consequences? Many lost their jobs. Many were stigmatized. Many were set back. The pan chicken man had to pack up by 6 o'clock, but KFC could run till midnight or 2 a.m. All that policy of oppression was doing was putting more pressure on the average Jamaican.
True, man.
There was no reduction in murder anywhere. In fact, there was a 25% increase in the entire.
Yeah, man, me need one next stand for your phone. I true because I'm not damn.
Yes,
I
temporarily
mean, one next stand,
in
you
a
know.
particular area or community, Alan, where there was a surge of security forces, you would find a decline temporarily. But there was something called the balloon effect. So after states of emergency in St. James, then you found murders going up in Hanover, in Westmoreland, in Trelawney. The opposition called out this practice and said it's not only unconstitutional, but it's ineffective.
Mm-hmm.
And today, we stand here before you, vindicated by the full Constitutional Court of Jamaica. Who in their ruling handed down a couple of weeks ago, not only confirmed what we have been saying, but it showed they found it was not only unconstitutional, but it was ineffective. These are people, these are judges, skilled, trained, and experienced in weighing evidence. And the evidence presented to them did not support the argument that it worked in reducing murders overall. So we became more and more militant in our objection. We stopped supporting the extensions in the Senate. We took them to the Constitutional Court. Others also took them to the Constitutional Court. And taxpayers will now be burdened to pay tens of millions of dollars in restitution to those who were deprived of their liberty illegally.
In the last 2 years, and in particular, in the last 5 months, we have seen welcome declines. And that is because there have been no inefficient states of emergency used in Jamaica. The professional police officers can focus on what they know to do to bring down crime instead of manning these checkpoints, which not catching anybody. Checkpoints that just blocking up traffic when you're coming into Mobile, whether from St. Elizabeth, from
We block up a whole
Westmoreland, from
place.
Hanover, from Trelawney. All it was doing was create traffic jams and frustrating people. So they created the conditions why the murders spiked. They created the conditions why police couldn't get to do their jobs. And so we commend this commissioner and his team who have not wasted time talking about give us state of emergency, but focused on the spear fishing approach, which we have always advocated, rather than the net fishing approach, which only violates Jamaicans, ordinary Jamaicans' rights. We reject the idea that to be strong against crime, you have to give up people's rights. We believe you can be strong against crime and strong for our human rights guaranteed under the Constitution, under the Charter of Rights. And the best evidence of that is what is happening since we have abandoned those wasteful states of emergency. I know the only thing that I saw that came out of it, it gave the Prime Minister the opportunity to every month jump up at a press conference looking like a wannabe petty tyrant, with his generals flanking him and joyfully announcing that he was removing the rights of the population in St. James or Hanover or Westmoreland. That's all that was achieved. Him, what the young people call cosplaying, you know when they dress up in costumes like, here I am, the petty tyrant with my generals around me. So that is what has happened, and that is why we give this GLP regime no credit for any reductions which have taken place recently. And the track record of the Prime Minister and his regime is that more Jamaicans have been murdered during their 2 terms than any other 2 terms in Jamaica. So let me turn quickly now to what we would do different. We have always maintained that crime control measures must be balanced with crime prevention measures. And what are those crime prevention measures? At its core, it is investing in communities and in people. Investing in communities and its people. Social investment. That's something we advocated for when we were in office before. This administration abandoned it completely. We will be returning, and we have seen the private sector on their own because government completely defunded social interventions and social investment. So the Project STAR has been a successful project, but very limited in scale and scope. We will come back and put government funding behind these things. We will ensure that in some of the communities where the environment is what the criminologists, I believe, would describe as criminogenic. It's an environment that is conducive to producing at-risk youth who are vulnerable to recruitment by gangs. We know we have to go in and we have to invest in better housing stock, better road infrastructure, better schools. We have to have remedial training and employment opportunities for the young people in these communities so they have very real options. That is an approach that puts people at the center of our development efforts. That is an approach that someone like Alan Bernard has spent a great deal of his life championing. And I want to big him up for that because we work together. Because we worked together when I was at the Ministry of National Security. And I know he's a youth who genuinely believe in empowering people to get them out of the situations they are in. Not just locking, scraping them up wholesale and locking them away. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to close here. I think you've had a meal, a full meal, a many-course meal. And now I think I'll hand it back to the moderator, who is going to turn it over to the most important section for the evening, and that is your time. Thank you.
Senator Bunting want to take my job. A round of applause for unafraid, fearless Peter Bunting. All right, so this is the juicy segment, yes? I'm going to invite you, there's a microphone right here. If you have a question, one, or a recommendation that you want to put to the panelists, I invite you to come to the microphone. Because so many of us are here, I'm going to ask you to make sure you give us your burning question or your burning recommendation and try to keep it brief so we can hear from others. All right, we recognize Mr. Rowe. Oh, we're asking 0272 KJ Foxy, you're blocking someone who needs to leave outside. Please attend to your vehicle.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Before I make my point, let me acknowledge Comrade Bunting. He and KD Knight are the two best national security minister. I was in the force, so I know it. And I know it is not all the main spokesperson in the party are being targeted by the government. Dr. Campbell, Dr. Alfred Dawes, you name them. That's what they go about. Intimidating and threatening them with lawsuit and all kind of rubbish. Now, Mr. President, what Mr. Bunting said, the social intervention.
All right, let's give Mr. Rowe a chance.
The government remove the CSJP. I train with them. Remove the National Parenting Support Commission. I train with them. They remove the Peace Management Initiative. All of these things are combination that will help to transform the poorer class of people in this country. Now, I'm a Maroon. And all the people inside here are Maroons. We're not wild and tame as the neo-colonialists.
Yeah, man, him too enough, Betty. Me see him.
Black people are Maroons. And I'm inviting every black people inside here. Tell your partner, tell your family that they are Maroon. And they must vote for President Golden's speech in Parliament, where he makes special mention about the Maroons and the Rasta. That is important. And Mr. President, if proper arrangement can be made, I am willing to travel all the areas to alert the people of who we are. Because in closing, one clause in the 13th clause Treaty of the Maroon state that Captain Kojo and his men and adherents shall cut clear and keep open large and convenient road to St. James, to Westmoreland, to Hanover, to Trelawney, to St. Elizabeth, and if possible, to Clarendon. So the people are Maroons. Mr. Patterson and Miss Portia Simpson, the royal queen, they told me when I was colonel that they believe they have Maroon blood in them. And Mr. Patterson was my guest speaker in 1995. 1997, he came back to a compound with President Jerry Rawlings. And so we have a situation where the black people were conned and fooled by the system. So all these poor people, all these black people here, they are Maroons. And don't let them tell you nonsense about we Wilder and team. Rubbish. It's a political propaganda like what is happening now in Jamaica.
Yeah, man. Next, we need a next one. But I bring up in my room story.
I have much more to say, but when this queen here start our meetings and the other one there, my vote is in her constituency, you know. And they have to win and they must win. That's it.
Thank you. That's the voice of the Maroons. Next question.
That wasn't a question, that was a speech.
Lance Cunningham is the name. I'm from the Tarada Heights community, a resident of Tarada Heights. And if you should traverse my community, you will be surprised at the deplorable conditions of the roads. Within this room, I see a number of people from the Coral Gardens and the Iron Shore community. Those community I have to pass through to go to my community. And they can also attest that the roads are very deplorable in those communities as well. And if you go to other communities, there are a set of co-workers here with me who lives in Portobello, Cornwall Courts, Westgate Hills, and by extension, all other communities within St. James and the Montego Bay environs. And they can attest to you that these roads are in deplorable conditions. And so, for over 20 years and beyond, none of these roads has been addressed by government. Therefore, I am asking the next PNP government what their plans are going to be to deal with the road network, not just in my community, but across the entire Jamaica, since we face with this problem.
Well, thank you. And the situation that you have described is true of many, many parts of Jamaica all over. And I've been traveling across the length and breadth of Jamaica and see and experience firsthand, and my front end even more in my vehicle, the effects of the terrible road conditions of which you speak. We have, as a country, over the last 30 years maybe, have focused a lot of resources and attention on building major highways to connect major towns. And those investments have been important. We have the North Coast Highway, we have the Southern Coastal Highway now, which is incomplete. We have the toll roads, the major toll roads, Highway 2000 and the North-South Link. But what we have not done is put any kind of program in place, certainly in the last 10 years, to deal with the roads that the people of Jamaica have to drive on every day. And I'm talking about scheme roads, community roads, and generally roads that are not off the beaten, that are not the major highways along the coast in particular. And we had the Road Maintenance Fund, which was established by the PNP to try and address this problem by ensuring that there were resources which funded out of traffic tickets and licensing of motor vehicles to support the maintenance of the road network. That has been put to an end. The JLP government brought it to a close, and they didn't put anything in its place. And so the road network has been steadily deteriorating and is probably at the worst that it has ever been. With the election coming, they've tried to reach and they've tried to spark, but neither of them are sufficient programs to address the accumulated scale of the problem of bad roads in the country. We are committed to an ongoing allocation of resources for preventive maintenance and rehabilitation of roads, so that we ensure that the network is not neglected. It will take some time to restore it to the condition that the people deserve, but by focusing on road maintenance on an ongoing basis in a very serious way, we intend to address the problem. We will also be working with the places of learning, UTech and other facilities to bring in the young engineers and have them help to ensure that the projects of road maintenance are properly designed, properly executed as well. And we see the need to empower our local government authorities so that they can look after the roads that they have responsibility for. So it is a big problem that you've described, and I'm not saying that there's any easy fix to fix it overnight, but it requires a proper policy of
Hi,
prioritizing the roads
Anthony
on which
Witter.
people drive every day to get home and to get to work or to get wherever they need to go, and ensuring that those resources are put in place so that in the medium term we will see a significant improvement in the quality of our roads, and also eliminating some of that corruption from the way in which road projects have been executed, where we are seeing materials are not being used as they should. They're skimping around so that, and roads have to be redone shortly after they have been fixed and so on. There's a lot of scamming in that system. We need to cut it out. We need to take the medium to long-term view and fix things properly and ensure that quality assurance is part of the process of managing the maintenance of the network. That's it.
Next question.
Good night, comrades. I am Pingskew Green. I am from the parish of St. James. This government has put out the narrative that crime is going down, and at the same time, our people are more scared of our security forces more than ever in the history of Jamaica. I would like to know, what will the PNP do in regards to changing this narrative of having our young people especially and the population of this country being afraid of our security forces?
Thank you. Do I just answer from here? What our position is that the police, or let me put it this way, long-term success in policing requires the trust and confidence and support of the citizenry. We are for police accountability, which is why we piloted the body-worn cameras 10 years ago, and we are really disappointed that 10 years later, after the first pilot of body-worn cameras done by our administration, we have still not seen that widely adopted. And body-worn cameras, yes, it improves police accountability, but it also protects professional police persons because they will have the evidence to show that they acted in accordance with the law. We're concerned about the level of police fatal shootings, but we are not in a position to make a determination. We have to rely on the Independent Commission of Investigations to tell us what are in accordance with the law and what's not in accordance. But it is an area of concern, and I believe that with improved operational planning, body-worn cameras, we can ensure that we get better accountability. Because one thing we don't want to move from one extreme to the other. We do not want to create a situation where there's impunity on the part of police. We've seen what happens when that is. All persons must operate in accordance with the law.
Thank you, Senator Bunting. The next person on the mic is Councillor Kenroy Gordon, and I want to just recognize the other councillors present here tonight, Councillor Martin Kelly, Councillor Swaby, and Councillor Michael Allen. Go ahead, Councillor Gordon. And Councillor Kerry Thomas.
evening, comrades, party lead, and everybody. With respect to the labor force, some time ago, our government introduced a flexi week where you can arrange with your employer the hours in which you work. I don't think it is being utilized the way it should, because up to date, I think only the hotels actually work around the clock. Most businesses still work the regular 8 to 5, including government businesses. Can't we break the thing and do it how it's supposed to be? Can't we have government offices, government agencies working extended hours? As it is now, tax office, you have to take lunch hour to go tax office because you're at work from 8 o'clock and you only get an hour break and you take the hour to go tax office and then the bungalow and back to work. Can't the tax office work, NHT, NWC, can't they work longer hours in order to facilitate the whole flexi week thing? Another thing that it does, it reduces the drag on the transportation.
They can't work longer. What they need to do is for
and between 6 o'clock
and lines.
you have bottleneck everywhere, and then between 5 o'clock and 7 o'clock in the evenings, bottleneck everywhere. Whereas if the hours were varied, you would have had different times people coming out.
Thank you. Well made.
Thank you for the question. What I can say, in the first 100 days in office, People's National Party review the current work hours and of course the flexi work hours. We are aware that in some sectors it is used on the weekend to bypass the fact that they don't want to pay staff members for their time on the weekend. So we are going to be reviewing those together, and of course we will have conversations with the different sectors, the BPOs, the hotel, and of course with the government and the tax administration to see the regular citizen on the weekend and ensure that they can do their business lawfully and in a timely fashion.
There is a Land Cruiser outside, 0952HW. Please move your vehicle. Go ahead with your question.
Good evening, comrades. All right, it is, to be honest, it is my privilege to stand here tonight to be in the presence of these lovely individuals set to lead our country. My name is Brian Campbell, and I live in the constituency of Hanover Western. However, I was born in this constituency, and I also work and do business, so I have a vested interest in this constituency. I am also privileged to have grown in a house where both parents were of either persuasion. Obviously, one for the PNP, other for the JLP. So standing before you tonight is not a diehard, rather somebody who has subscribed to this party, the ideals of this party, starting from a particular time where I saw a then finance minister debate on certain matters, who is now the party leader, Mark Golding. And also I had the privilege when I was in college, Sir Bunting will not remember, obviously, to have had breakfast with him and, Michael Phillips and some other persons at the time. There was a forum. So what I'm speaking on today is not really a question, rather a recommendation, and I hope to set some context. And context, I'm just going to give the problem as I see it and how we feel it, and the recommendation, hopefully I can get some further guidance on that. The problem that we all feel, know, and see, we are talking about the economy. We're talking about the reality that prices are high. High income jobs are scarce. Young people like myself, we are discouraged, and the hope of earning is quickly slipping away. And the current administration would like to sell us the idea that the economy is doing great. But I personally feel disrespected when this is being said to me, when what we all feel is a different reality. And in all humility, right, and in all humility, I would love to say this because I have been following the party's progress. We cannot face the government based on their integrity or lack thereof. Because I can tell you there are persons who will be willing to vote for someone who who is corrupt, right, allegedly, but they believe they are still the best person for the job. I believe the best way to tackle this coming important election is in their golden goose, what they're selling to us, that the economy is doing well. It is not doing well.
Nah, do it.
I'm a teacher of mathematics, and I'm going to address one of the indicators of economic success, unemployment rate. Currently, it is said that the employment rate is at 97%, which should be something that is good. But I can tell you, brothers and sisters, this number should mean something. Give an analogy, I won't be long. I'm speaking to every parent here, I'm a teacher. If your child comes home with a report that says they got 97% in English, but they can't go to Sunday school and even read the Bible, don't you think something is wrong?
Something wrong. Something wrong.
If your son come home to you and say they got 97% in mathematics, but you fret for them when them take taxi because taxi man rob them blind, they don't know if it make the change, don't you think something is wrong? That 97% should mean something. And if you are going to tell me, as a young person in this country, a patriot of this country, that we have 97% of the workforce contributing to taxes, and these are the roads we're driving on, these are the hospitals that we are accessing, these are the infrastructure, that what is your 97% saying? So, this is my recommendation. The economy. The aim for Vision 2030, Jamaica should be the place where Jamaicans can live, raise families, and do business, right? And I learned that one economic approach that Jamaicans took, well, many Caribbean islands took, is industrialization by invitation. And industrialization by invitation is simply to make Jamaica accommodating to foreign investors. That is, we will give them tax breaks. We will create spaces for them to do businesses like the free zone where, it will not be as expensive for them to set up their businesses. At that time in the 1970s, it made sense because the Jamaican people at that time weren't as skilled and did not have enough access to the capital that was needed in order to be the drivers of this industrialization. But my people, President, fellow MPs, that reality is no longer the case. Jamaicans have come a very far way. We now have Jamaicans who have the tact and the know-how in order to manage businesses that we are able to take on the global stage and serve our own people, and also address the import and export deficit. So this is the recommendation. Some of the benefits that overseas investors would have gotten, why not consider giving it to our local investors? Why not consider then some tax breaks potentially for our local investors, but also bringing in heavy machinery in order to upscale and upskill our own industries in Jamaica completely duty-free, so that we would be able to actually compete locally and improve skills right across the country. So my recommendation, as I said, I'm sorry for the time that I have been taking, but my recommendation is show Jamaicans that the economy that you will inherit is going to be the best economy for Jamaicans to do business and raise families.
Teach, teacher, teach.
Good recommendation.
And can you imagine the government don't want to give them no big increase in them wage, but give themselves up to 300%. Next question.
Good night, everyone.
Not so much people line up for
Good
the
night, everyone,
question.
and a special good night to the panelists slash candidates. My question is really directed to Mr. Alan Bernard. I am from the community of Norwood, and is anybody in here from Norwood, by the way? All right, so if you know Norwood, you know that Norwood is plagued with the problem of water. We have very irregular water supply, right? And the community of Norwood falls within the constituency of Dr. Horace Chang. Chang has been at the helm from almost quarter century now, from 2002. He was once the Minister of Water and Housing in the Bruce Golding-led cabinet. But basically, to make a long story short, my question is, Mr. Bernard, what are your plans to address the problem of water within the community of Norwood and other communities within Northwest St. James?
You shouldn't have to come here and answer that question to him.
To the community of Norwood.
Go ask Chung.
And
All right,
we
Chung.
have a spokesperson on water, and I think I will pass it on so he can speak to the broader issue of the country. But the party leaders here and others are here that can assist. As it relates to Norwood, we have been having conversations about the water, and there are three things.
Put the mic to your mouth.
Yeah, okay, yeah, my mic wasn't working. Right, so there are three things that we've been having discussion on. But let me put something in context first and foremost. When I get calls from the community about water, they'll often ask for a truck of water. And then I'll have a conversation with them about how far a truck of water can go. Usually, a truck of water causes more problems than anything else in terms of how it is distributed. So we have a conversation about how do we provide advocacy around the water issues in particular areas of Norwood. And so, as you rightly said, we have a member of parliament now for almost quarter of a century. A member of parliament that was once, that had put forward a responsibility for water. And nothing has been done to address the issue. If it's an engineering issue, this is 2025. It's not difficult to find an engineering solution. If it's a resource issue, it's not difficult. If I was the member of parliament for Northwest, anybody who is Minister of Water in my administration would tired to see my face. Every single day, I would be at that minister's door. Almost 25 years, nothing. If it's a resource constraint, if it's an engineering constraint, we can fix it. I have spoken to persons from the Water Commission. Again, it's not easy to speak to persons from any ministries, agencies, or departments when you're not an elected representative. Notwithstanding, I've gotten word from them. They themselves have said to me that they can take some responsibility or shoulder some of the responsibility. And in the event that this culpability is theirs, they can provide temporary relief. However, it is those elected representatives they ask to engage them to bring this temporary relief. They are not doing so. They are not doing so. And so in our conversations with the community of Norwood, we are looking to bring greater advocacy around how do we force the hands of these current elected representatives to act.
Internet problem again. Hi, Rowan. Yes, Patrick. I don't know what's going on, you know. And on my end, though. And on my end at all. I for them in. Yeah, and me, man, I for them internet.
To act to bring along
You can try to come back, eh? With a break up.
next People's National Party government. As our future Prime Minister said, we will be revisiting a program that will address the needs of many of these Operation Pride housing schemes that were incomplete. One of such is in the North community.
Thank you. Next question.
Top that question now, man. Because there are people now.
Comrades. I don't like that. Good night, comrades.
Good night.
Let me pause a little bit to acknowledge our incoming Prime Minister and of course members of his incoming cabinet. All right, so I really came here tonight to ask two questions. But the councillor prior.
All right, quiet in the room, quiet in the room. Adjust the mic towards your mouth.
I came here tonight to ask two questions, but the councillor prior, I think, delve a little bit into one of them.
Okay, so ask the other.
All right, so what I really want to know, the sports industry globally is a $1.4 trillion industry. Now, Jamaica would have produced some of the finest and some of the best athletes, and we still have a lot of potential athletes coming up. I want to know what is the next PNP or PNP's administration is going to do to tap into that $1.4 trillion industry.
Mr. Hines?
Thank you. And of course, you are speaking about an item that is very near and dear to my heart. Well, the next PNP government will certainly be looking at sports in a wholesome fashion, from the grassroots straight to the elite. We'll be looking at the sporting infrastructure or assets. So I would have been in Montego Bay to visit Jarrett Park, that needs resurfacing. I went to the Catherine Hall, that the track needs resurfacing, that they can't even have Western champs in the western side of the island. They have to go to GC Foster. That's a travesty, and that's a shame on the government as it is now. We have the
None of them listen, they are part for them. Money they want to put in their pocket.
More with in terms of a museum and all those things, since we are on the western belt and the tourism is there. And certainly be looking to do training with the University of Technology, the University of the West Indies, GC Foster College, in trying to make sure that we have the academia aligned with us so that we can get the scientific research done to enable our athletes. Sports is a multifaceted industry. So while we know about the athletes on the court and on the track and on the field, we know about the coaches, the physiotherapists, the analysts, the data analysts, and so the spin-offs are there. We also will engage ourselves in sector linkages. So the peace initiative that Comrade Bunting would have spoken about earlier, and Comrade Bernard, we will be certainly doing partnerships with the Ministry of National Security to ensure that we can tap into that, get our youths to be using their energies in a right and positive direction. We'll be speaking to Dr. Dawes about the health, community health and safety, of using sports to make sure that we can do away with lifestyle diseases and to get students and young people in the communities active. We'll be speaking with the Ministry of Industry and Commerce to engage ourselves with private investors so that this government would have caused the Jamaica Talawas to be no more. There's no Jamaica Talawas with cricket because the government did not invest in it. And I'm sure Comrade Mark Boyne and us will be looking to speak to other private cricket investors to bring back a franchise in our country because we are renowned for cricketers. We had Chris Gale, we now have Andre Russell and Ravman Powell, Stephanie Taylor. There's a lot more to speak of. So we'll be doing sector linkages and we'll be doing sports in a wholesome fashion. And hopefully, one day sports can be a standalone ministry so that we can have a permanent secretary and a budget to move our thing forward. So it will be properly ventilated, and don't worry, sports will get its rightful place in our society. Thank you.
You see how refreshing it is to have
a future minister of sports who don't only turn up for the photo ops, but he knows his industry. Next question.
Hello, good night. So my name is Colleen. I actually have a couple questions and recommendations. Hello, good night. Hear me now?
Yes.
Yes. My name is Colleen, and I actually have questions and recommendations for everybody on the panel.
Give us the top one.
The top one?
Yes.
All right. So my first question goes for the future Prime Minister, the incoming Prime Minister. So you had spoken about Cornwall Regional Hospital and it being an A-type hospital. So for me having certain medical issues, I wasn't necessarily able to access certain treatment outside of Cornwall Regional Hospital, meaning that I have to go to that hospital to get what I needed to get done, right? But in an essence, when I go there, or the experience that I have, it's like the doctor that's there, I go have to wait 3 hours, then I wait a 3 hour, then he has to go back on the ward, then I have to wait another set of time again for him to come back to me to actually assist me because there's not enough persons there working to assist. I also see that Christopher Tufton, he's saying women are not having enough babies, but what infrastructure is going to be put in place to say, yes, it's easier for women to have children, the experience will be easier for women, and so instead of just having babies, because he's not going to help women to take care of all of these babies that they're supposed to have. So that's the first question, yeah. Okay.
Is that really a question, though? Oh.
We know that the Cornwall regional situation is a real debacle. An atrocity, I think, was the word used. And the level of service there currently is unsatisfactory and inadequate because the facility in which they're operating is itself, not what it should be, because the hospital is under major renovation and has been for many years. So until that is resolved, the people of this part of Jamaica are going to continue to suffer from having a public hospital that is operating very suboptimally. And we need to get that project under control and get it finished so that the hospital can be open and provide the services that the people need. I agree with you that to be encouraging people to have more children when the health
No, I'm going to sign out yet. I watch it.
Prenatal
and
antenatal and postnatal care and support is inadequate. There's really no basis for asking people to put themselves and their future infant at risk and in that kind of situation. And in fact, Mr. Bunting and I were having a discussion about that just before this, where he was saying that when we see the reduced number of students that are available to take up spaces in schools, and we ask, why is this happening? Women who have had very negative experiences in terms of childbearing and their interface with the health system are saying, well, why should I expose myself to those risks again? And that's logical. So until the services, the social investments and infrastructure investments are made in ways that deliver full bang for the buck instead of ripping off parts of public resources to Fen and Company benefit and so on, but all of the resources that are available are spent on what they're intended to be spent on and are spent wisely and with proper policy frameworks to support it, we're not going to see an improvement in the kind of care and attention that the average Jamaican, the everyday Jamaican who can't afford a bag of money to go private is going to have to put up with in the public health system.
All right, thank you for your question. I'm going to invite you to come to the side. I'll have you pose your question after to the relevant person. Please step up to the mic with your question. Rastaman.
Right. Madam Burchett. I can see that there is a Porsche Simpson order. Yeah. Anyway, big up to all of the comrades them, the females them, and the man them, and the warrior them. I want to tell the man them, yo, let me tell you something. I One, you know, stand up for the woman them too, you know. You understand me meaning? Some little things are going in this country what I don't like. You understand me? A man supposed to know say you see a woman and your mother know your father. You see your father is a stepper or is an intelligent critic. So know your father. Some little thing are going on in this country where me not like. The young girls them a get raped off and the boys them and all these things. These things supposed to stop. And you see when the president step in at the White House as me excuse, sorry about that. I didn't
Now, we might talk about White House already.
America yet. But big up Mr. and the president of Jamaica, Mark Golden, the junglist. See, nothing no miss. Real order.
Oh, what is it?
Big up Mr. Bunting over there, sir.
Oh, I'm going there tonight.
Wave Hines.
Wave Hines.
And everyone else.
Don't tell me about Wave Hines, man. One of the best. And you see you now, Nikki. You see you now. Miss Burchell, know your father. Know your father. In the industrial arts of furniture. See? And I'm saying, when you get to office,
Yes.
President Janice and over there.
Stop it chatting now and get the people to talk here, man. Sure, chat too much foolishness.
I must say,
Tell the people that say question on the day I talk nonsense.
and the rest of people there.
Pick up yourself,
I'm
Rasta
saying,
man.
I'm saying,
A round of applause
I'm
for
talking now.
Rasta.
Good night.
Comrade.
No, just relax. Yourself. I'm talking. I'm talking on the behalf of my party, the People's National Party. I'm not join this like yesterday. May I come from this from North Star. May I come from this from Joshua, Michael Manley.
That's right.
And
Some of them people I don't know if they talk and what they say. You know. You don't have to take so much question, man. You don't feel like just take one. I understand it's a town hall, but some I sit there with them attack don't make no sense. It freeze, their phone, their line freeze up.
this big up, right? Big up, right?
Give people a chance.
Big up
A
that
long line behind
Go and
you.
get that chance.
Long line behind you.
No, I'm saying,
You
to
must
my leader and my prime minister, that saying,
Yes.
I'm saying no,
Yes.
what I'm making. Listen, no, sir. I don't want just this.
Not like how some of them behave still, you know. Sure. You want one shot pay a bag of nonsense.
Sabontin. We want to deal with the thing intelligently, right? Just calm down, no man. We know it's a rush down. No. Right? We have
All right,
to do
all
things.
right. To the microphone with your question. And the word is love. The word is love. Recognize our sister at the mic with her question.
One,
your bus. We thank. Go ahead, or Empress.
All right. I would like to commend you, party leader, comrades.
Settle down, settle down.
For stepping out. All of us that were not able to be in Kingston. Pressing issues and a lot of things happening in the country.
Wait, one moment. Could you please turn the microphone, the volume up?
Much better. Yes, I was panel and I'm commending the party leader for
When they just asking a question, man, Jesus Christ, how the people didn't answer,
bringing
man.
the people out on this and joke about this. This is rescuing up. This can attest to this. When I do my work, I always and for you to put that there, that shows me, Thing is this coming up to the young people about tonight. And also it's like some people don't remember where we're coming from. And when we go out on the road, they're talking, where you have to give it?
Alright. Me have to stop for my broadcast. When I have to go over there go watch it. Me done for tonight. It a break up and I can't bother them people. So thank you for staying on and take care of yourself and see you in the tomorrows. Bye for now everybody. Good night. Good night.